The heat is on in the Sunshine State, and it is just going to get hotter. What's up, guys? I'm certified meteorologist Jonathan Kegas, and in this video, we are going to talk about the heat. Hottest week of the year in Florida. No question about it, and it's going to get even hotter as we get towards the week's end. One of the reasons for that, it's really the same reason we're so hot. It's going to keep the rain chances low for the first part of the week. And then we're going to see storm chances increase a little bit, and some of those storms could get a little rowdy across the Florida Peninsula. We are going to break that down. I'm going to show you the timeline. I'm going to show you when that severe weather threat comes, not only to the Florida Panhandle, not only to South Florida, but into Central Florida as well. The heat is obviously everywhere, and I think now we are done with those cold fronts, so I think this is it. It's that runaway freight train that is Central Florida and the Florida summer here. We're also going to take a quick look at the tropics and see if there is anything going out there. If you do want to stay up to date on the tropics and all things weather in Florida, you've come to the right place. You have to hit subscribe. Please hit that subscribe button and give it a thumbs up. It really does help us out a lot. All right, so in terms of Tuesday, we're going to take the Central Florida look first. We're going to look at the temperatures and the heat index with the heat and humidity combined, and then we're going to get into that Florida view that shows a nasty line of storms coming into the Florida Panhandle, especially Wednesday into Thursday. So we are going to break that down. From a Central Florida perspective, 5 o'clock, if you're trying to take dinner outside or something like that, there's not going to be much around. Storm chances are only at 20%, if that. That's conservative. Most of us are going to be dry. You see that there, just a few little flare-ups of a little activity there. Now, getting into this evening, quiet things down. It's going to be steamy. It's going to be sultry, all of the above. We're going to start Wednesday morning off dry. Note, though, you kind of see this green color right at the top of the bar. This is going to really be the start of a couple of active few days from Wednesday into Thursday. You see the storm chances go up a little bit. There's Wednesday afternoon, a few little thunderstorms here. The bulk of the action, though, remains towards the Big Bend in the Florida Panhandle and closer to Jacksonville, St. Augustine. Again, I'm going to show you all that. I'm going to show you that severe weather risk area. You saw that flare up. This is what I was talking about the chance for a few strong thunderstorms on Wednesday into South Central Florida, mainly southeast of Orlando, Kissimmee, St. Cloud, closer to us along the Space Coast. So that is going to be something that we're going to watch Wednesday evening. That was in that 6 to 8 o'clock ballpark. So we got you covered there. We're going to keep a close eye on how that materializes. There we go. High temperatures on Wednesday. It's blazing. Again, we're going to make a run for the hottest day of the year so far. 94 is that number. We tied that on Monday. We've hit it a couple of times in March and April. Now we're going to make a run for the 95, 96 range, at least in Orlando. You see it there, 96 in Orlando, 96 in Sanford, Kissimmee, St. Cloud. We're going to be in the mid-90s. Same for us in Point Siena, into Celebration, into Eustis, Mount Dora. Low to mid-90s for us, too. Again, it's ugly out there. And that's just the start of this story. Keep on advertising it. It's the heat index. Your body cools itself by sweating and then evaporative cooling, the air being able to kind of blow on your skin and kind of evaporate that sweat. That's what it does. That is how your body naturally cools itself. When the humidity is cranked up like it's been and like it's going to get even worse, it becomes harder for your body to cool itself when there's all that humidity, when there's all that moisture in the atmosphere. That's why the heat index is so important, because it elevates that danger. Now, we're not in any kind of heat advisory. We're not in any kind of heat warning or anything like that. We're still a few degrees too cool, relatively speaking, for that. But it is going to be nasty to be outside if you're doing any projects, if you're roofing, things like that. Just make sure you're taking care of yourself. I know you know the drill, but nonetheless, there you go. That's the heat index on Wednesday. As I ramble on, 3, 4, 5 o'clock, it's going to feel more like the century mark across a lot of Central Florida. Watch what happens as we get into Thursday. It gets even worse. That darker purple kind of invades all of Central Florida, 100 to 105 degrees for the most part at times. And then this is something that continues right on into Friday. There you go, feeling more like 100 to 105. Now, you might notice here these kind of cooler temperatures right above the banner. That's as a result of those storms, that rain, cold air from those storms that are going to be hanging tight in North Florida. So the same kind of deal. Again, this is not something that is just going to be kind of localized to Central Florida. We're going to expand now to the entirety of the Florida Peninsula. I'm going to show you what the feels like temperatures, the heat index is going to be on Wednesday and Thursday, and then I want to show you future radar and the severe weather risk. So there's a lot to break down in this video. If you're still with me, give it a thumbs up. Again, it does help us out a lot. All right, so there we go. Again, we already saw Central Florida feeling more like the century mark. As we get into Thursday afternoon, Look at that. Fort Myers feeling more like 101. Tampa like 100. Fort Pierce about 100. And then again, relatively speaking, cooler in the Panhandle as we get some of those storms around. But still, it is going to be blazing, blazing hot across the Florida Peninsula over the next few days with limited relief from the rain. Here is the future radar. I will show you the severe weather risk coming up. But you see a few storms again on Tuesday, where everybody is starting off Wednesday dry, with excepting just a few stray showers in the Big Bend. Here's where things could kind of get rocking. Wednesday afternoon, we're going to be highlighting the Florida Panhandle right around Tallahassee, Pensacola, Port St. Joe, maybe even down to Cedar Key and Jacksonville for the potential, anyway, for some really nasty thunderstorms. Then look at this. Well, I think most of these storms materialize out at sea right along the Space Coast, but there's going to be some rocking storms south and east of I-4. Fort Pierce going to be in on that, inland of Fort Lauderdale and Miami. Some scattered storms around as well. And then we have more storms kind of running on through as well. All right, so in terms of the severe weather risk, the main severe weather opportunity is going to be north of Florida. It's where we have that enhanced risk, level 3 out of 5. You see it right there. You see the enhanced risk. There it is right there on the severe weather scale. Pensacola, though, we are at level 2 out of 5. You see it through the Panhandle, that yellow shaded color. So that's a step below enhanced. But again, I think we do have a pretty decent shot with that complex of thunderstorms rolling right on through to kind of push in. As we move into Thursday, we get more of that severe weather risk, although it is low. It is the marginal side of things. I would not be surprised if the Storm Prediction Center upgrades this risk as we get a little closer and we kind of see the modes of severe weather, and we kind of see how this complex of thunderstorms, this kind of line of thunderstorms materializes. But anyway, 3-day risk here in that level 1 out of 5, that marginal risk. But anybody like north of Orlando, that's including Daytona Beach, into Palm Coast, Bunnell, St. Augustine, Jacksonville, into Tallahassee, Pensacola, Port St. Joe, Cedar Key, Ocala, not out of the woods around Orlando and Point South just yet. We may be put in that risk as we get into Friday as that complex of storms rolls on down. Nonetheless, we're going to be under the gun for that on Thursday. So again, early heads up. We're going to keep you posted on that right on this channel in your Florida forecast. To end with the tropics, again, I don't have any better news for you. The news is much, much better in the tropics, I should say. No development over the next 7 days. There's nothing out there to talk about. Thunderstorm risk is very, very low. Thunderstorms in general are pretty much non-existent. We've kind of stopped all the storms in the Western Caribbean, just a few thunderstorms over the Bahamas, towards Bermuda. A few little waves riding on the low latitudes off of Africa. That one's a little beefy, but there's a whole lot of dust right in here. That Saharan dust that's going to keep things stable, keep things at bay for the time being. Alrighty, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And again, if you want kind of this look here in Central Florida and the entire state of Florida, and you want your weather for the state of Florida, you come to the right place. Please hit subscribe. If you hit that notification bell, you will be alerted when we post new weather content. Post in the comments where you're tuning in from, and we will catch you next time.